This is Peter Madansky from ULTRAMARINE. We are the anchoring specialist, really, to simplify us as a company, and try to not only, of course, promote our products, but to kind of explain the whole anchoring situation and educate people about anchoring, because there's not many options and situations where you have the chance to really educate people about, parts of the boating experience, and we feel like anchoring is one of the vital ones.
Is there any way that you can demonstrate how your anchor's different to others?
I think people that know us have seen this presentation.
Yeah.
We are quite known by this sand pits that you could have seen on many boat shows. And for us, this is the best way how to show how the anchor works. Instead of just showing pictures and videos, we created this kind of a experience environment where we have scale models of the different anchor types that you can find on the market, all done in scale, same weight, so you can actually compare them next to each other. So the most simple test is, putting two anchors next to each other.
Yeah.
Right now we have the plow type anchor on one side and the Ultra on the other. We are putting them in nearly, perfect situations, so they are reasonably laying on kind of a ready to penetrate position, and we are pulling the chain in the ideal direction. So I'll try to pull them at the same time with the same speed. So what you can see here at the beginning, it seems very tied. The anchors behave quite the same, but once the wind is really start to pick up, then you see the difference. So the plow type anchor, what it really does, it's achieving a certain depth that is maximum for it, because it is essentially just a plow. So what we are doing, we are plowing the seabed. But with the Ultra anchor, more pressure, more pulling strength I'm putting on it, which I'm trying to show how, if the wind is getting stronger, then I can feel, which is something we cannot show on the video, but more I'm pulling on the Ultra, it's becoming harder and harder for me to pull, because more I'm pulling, deeper it gets. Where the Delta, I'm going to reach its maximum, and if I increase the pulling pressure, it's not going to fight with me, So in reality, meaning that, it cannot stop the boat, it can only slow down the drift rather than stopping it. So this is, even though it's a simple test, it shows the anchors in their natural environment. So what we try to achieve with the anchor is that it can adapt to the change, because you cannot always predict the weather, and you don't want to always leave the anchorage that you like and where you got, and you want the anchor to be able to adapt. Which we know that the plow type cannot do perfectly. So so this is, and we need to also look a little bit more into kind of the history of the anchor. So the plowing type, that's about 1980s. It was kind of the time where one of the best known brands and then the best known type of this design came to the market. There has been already a plow type anchor before that came out in the 1930s, which had the hinge, but was using the same plowing head. But then, some designers kind of understood that maybe the plow is not the ideal anchor shape, so they came up with different ideas. So the manufacturer you mentioned is one of those that introduced, first of all, the roll bar, which was the solution to what happens in case the anchor lands upside down. Because with these anchors, and it was especially a problem of the hinged CQR, that it was kind of disbalanced, because the hinge was very massive, and that was actually the part of the anchor that was always trying to go first when it landed, and kind of disbalancing the anchor. So rather than you anchoring with the head of the anchor, you were anchoring with the hinge. It was a similar situation with the different plow type, where the shank of the anchor was quite massive and heavy. So again, you couldn't predict which way the anchor landed. So you could have a situation when the anchor landed upside down, and the plow is not capable of, you know, turning itself in case it lands upside down. So we would have to do the maneuver again and hope that it's going to land the right way. So these gentlemen came with an idea of putting the roll bar on, which essentially was helping the anchor turn in case it landed on its back. It had the ability to turn and put it in the right position. And also, another difference they introduced was, you know, turning the plow, or getting rid of the plow shape, which is, you know, kind of a, done in a certain way. So they tried to turn it or invert the plow. So you see the head of the anchor is rather flat than being a plow. So the best way to show it is this. So, you know, on the plow, the material doesn't really stick. On these inverted plows, it gives much more resistance in the penetration and you know, kind of gives the friction to the material. So essentially makes the anchor more efficient. Again, let's try to put them first in ideal situations. Again, at the beginning, they have a really good grip.
Yeah.
The anchor with the roll bar is much better than the Delta type, for sure. But it has, again, it gets deeper than the plow type, but it has its certain limit.
Yeah.
Where I can feel that, you know, the Ultra anchor is again getting deeper and giving me more pressure and more holding power than this type. So we can kind of see that the roll bar itself and inverting the plow, it's not everything.
No, it helps, but
it helps. It's a step forward, definitely.
Part of evolution.
Yeah, definitely. It was thinking in the right way.
Yeah.
It's a step in the right direction, but it's not quite the perfect solution.
Yeah.
And then we getting one step further, right? So then it was understood that this is not the final design, let's say. So then we came to kind of really the shovel type anchors. So that idea here, this is one of the designs that came from France. So thinking about, okay, the roll bar, first of all, it doesn't really solve the situation completely, and also it doesn't look very nice, to be honest, especially if you have a powerboat. Having an anchor with a roll bar was not ideal, and many clients didn't like the looks.
Yeah.
So then was the idea to, okay, so what do we, can we do something different than having the roll bar to help the anchor turn? So one of the ideas that came, and these anchors are kind of on the newest generation and very similar. So introducing weight distribution to the situation. So the idea was, how can we make the part of the anchor which is the efficient heavier? The best way to do is to use some kind of heavy metal. So using lead came into the question. So this French manufacturer, they tried to use the lead, and they put the lead in just because they really wanted to offer the galvanized and the stainless steel version, like any other anchor before. So they had to put the lead in after they galvanized the anchor. So the solution was kind of done in a way that the anchor had to be open from the backside here. But what it really helped is that the anchor it had a better chance to land with the right way more often than the other anchors, okay? But again, if we put them next to each other, so if we put, again, the Ultra next to the French, we're putting them, here we can see the difference of setting. So the Ultra has the ability to turn in
and it's
quicker
digging in
and digging in, where the other anchor is kind of staying on the side.
Yeah.
Okay? Even though it's kind of catching in, the fact that it's not able to really turn in, it prevents it from giving you the best holding power. Which brings me to another design feature. It's actually the shape of the head.
Yeah.
Because all the anchors that we've shown before, they had something in common as well, and it's that the tip of the anchor is straight. Okay, on all of them, the plow types, straight, this is straight, this is straight. then the designers thought about, okay, what if we actually curve the tip of the anchor rather than keeping it straight? And that, of course, I can understand is very simple because of the geometry of the anchor. The curved tip just wants to go deeper every time you pull on it. It's a very simple idea, but that works very efficiently. And one more thing in terms of the curves, because it's not only the top curve that really helps, but there's also the curve on the side of the anchor. So this is if we look at these two next to each other, you also notice that the curve on the Ultra is much deeper. Then on this one, it's still quite straight. So this is actually the difference in kind of aligning. The anchor can align itself in this angle rather than staying on the side. So that's the reason why the Ultra is turning in and the other anchor just stays on the side. So this kind of proved that, you know, having the right geometry, it's really making the anchor perform much better. So if we now combine it, the current, you know, let's say research and development in terms of anchors found out that the best combinations are, you know, playing with the weight distribution. So making sure the tip is heavier than the shank. With the Ultra, we kind of take it even a step further because the shank is air-filled. So you're really making sure that this part is very light. Because the tip is heavier, the anchor always wants to go in the right way. Okay, again, just playing really with physics. 60% of the weight down. You know, when you drop the anchor on the seabed, it's always ready. Right? So that is something that really worked. And then it was the curves that helped us a lot. So curving the tip, that it benefits in the penetration and really creating a sharp tip. So if you have seaweed or any other material which is not so easy to penetrate as sand, you have much better chance. And I think the last thing which I would like to show you is, because now we said it's an ideal situation. Wind is blowing one direction. That's of course not reality. You know, if you want to stay on anchor overnight, you cannot, you know, make sure the wind is only blowing one way. So if I go back to the plow anchor, I'll show you what all the anchor designers found out is the biggest challenge. Because let's say you anchored, you get the anchor reasonably deep, but then what happens is when the wind starts shifting and turning, these plow type anchors tend to get out of the seabed. And they needed some time and space to reset if they had the chance to do so. And the reason for that was, again, just simply of the design, because when the anchor turns, it naturally gets on the side. And when the plow type is on the side, you have these plates at the back that is naturally pushing the anchor up.
So it's instant lift.
Exactly. So it works kind of counterproductive. So that was the reason why the curve on the side helped us a lot, because when the anchor lays on the side, you can always see the tip is pointing down. So when you put it in the same situation, you get it in a position like this and you turn it, it doesn't go out.
It's always digging in.
It always wants to go in. And it's also good to show it, even if I put it on the surface and I'm putting it into the curve, you see it's kind of disappearing. It's doing a spiral movement. So you know that not only it can adapt when the wind speed is increasing by getting deeper, but it can also adapt to the wind direction changes. Which essentially is what you want from an anchor, because if you want to stay on anchor as much as possible, you want to sleep on the anchor, you want to make sure it can actually adapt when it's needed.
Anybody wants any information, where do they go?
Definitely. Nowadays, the easiest way is to just Google ultramarine and you will find all sorts of information, not only our main website, of course, but there's a lot of videos and testimonials and reviews from people that use our anchors. We've been on the market for quite a long time. And, you know, I think it's always the best to really do your research for anything you are actually buying. I know for me, it's very biased to say the good things about what we do, but there's a lot of you know, people that use our anchors that are happy to share you know, their experience, and I think you should follow these people and find out for yourself. Really, for anything you're buying, there's a lot of people that are happy to share their knowledge about the product, so you can do so.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. And on that note, just down here, I'm going to leave a link for Fair Isle. Once again, thank you for your time, and hope to see you in the future.
I hope so.
Brilliant.